Oh my goodness. Jay didn't hit the music for whatever reason there. So another great cold open here to start. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I feel like it was just yesterday that we were sitting here last week. But welcome to Star Wars Newsnet Live, everyone. It is me, Tyler Bradshaw, joined by Jay this week. No Brian, because apparently in the middle of the USA, in Kansas, is decided to storm like crazy, and Brian has no internet connection and cannot join us this evening. So, a little bit of an interesting time. In the comments, please let us know where you're joining from and if there is any crazy weather where you're at. We would love to, be advised of the weather situation going on for all of our loyal listeners out there. Jay, how is the weather situation in the great state of Hawaii?
I'll tell you what, it is starting to get pretty chilly in here in Hawaii. But then again, chilly weather in Hawaii is, I'm pretty sure, comfortable for the rest of the world. So right now it's like in
Yeah.
the right now it's in the high 60s. And so like over here we're complaining, oh man, it's so freezing, it's so cold. When in actuality, no, it's not that bad. But
Because what everyone loves to hear is how the weather is doing, because the weather chat is just something that everyone is absolutely adores. Here's like a more hard hitting question for you, Jay. I'm ready for this one. And for those
yeah,
of
let's do
you
it.
tuning in, please drop this in the comments, whether you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Please drop this in the comments. Jay, Defy the Storm came out this week. For those of you who don't know, Defy the Storm is a High Republic novel, and a character from those novels, Vernestra Rowe, she has a lightsaber that can also transform into a light whip. So think if Indiana Jones was a Jedi, he'd have himself a light whip. Okay. So Jay, the light whip is not a common lightsaber in Star Wars. Would you choose a light whip for your lightsaber, or would you choose to have a double-bladed lightsaber that also like retracts and comes apart and forms two separate sabers and you can come together? So you're going double saber, but it like comes apart and you have two, or are you going with the light whip where you can, go Indiana Jones on some stormtroopers? Which one are you going with?
I'll tell you what, the light whip just seems so volatile, right? I mean,
In the
because
best kind of way.
yeah, right, of course. But I'll tell you what, like one wrong move. I mean that's it. That's how it is with any lightsaber, of course. But with
Like one wrong move and you're done. It doesn't matter what kind of lightsaber you
oh
have.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Of
But
course.
man, like because well, I'll tell you what, something that I'm interested to see, like I'll be honest, I haven't read all of like Vernestra Rose like stories.
That's
But
appalling.
I know, right? Yeah, like I need to be hanged for my treason.
Well,
But
of course.
I'll tell you what though, a light whip, I'd love to see this in the acolyte, like because she is in the acolyte, but
She is in the
a
acolyte.
light a light whip would be like the perfect crowd control weapon.
Right.
Yeah. So
100%.
um
Would you consider it malpractice on their part if they had Vernestra Rowe in the Acolyte coming in June and they do not have a single scene where she uses a lightsaber into a light whip, and we see that in Star Wars on our screen for the first time? Like, to me, that's almost like malpractice. We have this amazing lightsaber from the novels. We're putting this character into live action, and we're not going to use the most, like, I guess, lack of a better word, cool part for her character.
do you think like Lucasfilm will actually give them the rights to do so? I don't know.
To make a light whip?
No, 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 not to make a light whip, but to portray it. Um,
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know because like for the past few years, I feel like Lucasfilm has been very reserved about creating different lightsabers. Like it. I think a lot of the lightsabers have kind of existed in the realm of possibility.
Okay.
And that I think
They want
like
to make
also
money, right?
it will make money. I'm also thinking like when because there's also going to be toys of it if they do make the light whip, but I think that like it's gonna be a challenge to also turn it into a toy. So
Okay, well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily be a toy, I guess, but it can even make money in the sense of we are now going to have more people tuning in because they're like, "What is this light whip thing?" I don't know. I feel like it's
yeah,
easy, like it's just something new in Star Wars, and people love new things.
for sure.
Manslayer, drop in the comments. Anyone else in the comments? Do we want to see a light whip in Star Wars? Do we want to see the lightsaber that turns into a whip, the light whip in Star Wars? So Jay, I'm hearing that you would rather have like a double-bladed, like retractable lightsaber as opposed to the light whip.
Right.
Is that correct?
I would actually prefer that. Well, also just the practicality of having the ability to transition from double bladed to two handed fighting combat. I mean that you can
Mhm.
those are two different fighting stances.
That's
Just to get
true.
like combat nerdy.
I would go with the light whip just because I would probably fumble the bag when I had my double-bladed lightsaber and would accidentally like fumble it, literally fumble it and slice off like my leg. So Manslayer says, for me, not true. Sure, in all the new saber designs, the one of Dagan looks cool, but the one with the regular hilts, I don't know. Or even one of the Ezra in Rebels. I'm talking like if your lightsaber could turn into an Indiana Jones like whip. That's what I want to see in uh you know, so we saw like with the Zagarians, it was like kind of like that they used to control, but like we're talking about the lightsaber, the light whip, it's not gonna grab onto them. It would just slice through them. Like it's still a lightsaber, just slices through them like instantaneously. Okay, we spent way too much time on the light whip. That's fine. So we have some quick hitters this week. And maybe I'm just gonna put this into the universe, Brian, wherever you are, the force is with you. Please join us if you can. Anyway, what do you mean that'd be blasphemy? What do you mean that's blasphemy? It's in the Acolyte, like it's in the High Republic. It is canon. It is canon, Manslayer. John Williams, 54th Oscar nomination. Quick hitters this week, just everything in Star Wars, real fast. Get some rapid fire reactions on this. So Jay, the Oscars are Sunday. First of all, are you going to be watching the Oscars? Are you an Oscars guy?
I am, but I'll tell you what, my family and I got rid of cable a long
Okay,
time ago.
right,
And I don't want to pay like $60 for Hulu TV Live.
right. That makes sense.
You know, like I love the Oscars, I really
Mhm.
do. But yeah, no, I mean, I wish I could watch it. But also maybe it's best because like man, the shows are so
It is. It's a long night. So here's what I do. I'm going to make this year. I'm making Oscars bingo, and a couple of my friends. We're gonna watch the Oscars. I'm hoping my girlfriend joins. We'll see. Long shows like that, not necessarily her thing. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna camp out. I love it when the Oscars, like the pop, when the movies that are up for a lot of the awards are also just really popular movies in general, and not necessarily films that just a very small audience has seen. There's a great place for that in the Oscars too. Like I want those films to be celebrated, but it is, I think, just a cooler experience for the general audience when you have films like Oppenheimer and Barbie that are up for awards that, every single person that I know has seen those movies. It just kind of adds to the affair. And I think, a lot of people are going to tune in. These are three things I'm looking for from the Oscars this week, Jay. And then we'll talk about John Williams to his 54th Oscar nom. Number one, I cannot wait to watch Robert Downey Jr.'s acceptance speech for winning Best Supporting Actor.
Oh
I feel like
yeah.
he's a shoe in, right? I feel like he's a shoe in. He's
Right.
a heavy favorite.
Sure.
Um, anyone, please drop what you're looking forward to if you're going to watch the Oscars in the chat. Manslayer says that um,
I
it
was
was
gonna
full of
say, are we
emotion.
gonna get to this?
Oh my gosh, because of the service Crystal ad, like the beer commercial ads. I remember watching those version on TV network, and they're not more seen yet. Perhaps never. Those the memes and everything have gotten out of control. It's been insane. Like I think Nate published one on Star Wars Newsnet Live that just kind of went bonkers this week as well. There's some really good ones. But RDJ giving his supporting actor speech, I think that's going to be incredibly emotional, and I think it's going to be incredibly impactful. They're actually having for these different awards, like people who have won the award previously, like 4 or 5 of them, present the award, which I think is like why don't we do that every year? Okay, number 2. I cannot wait to watch Ryan Gosling perform I'm Just Ken with 65 male background dancers during the thing. It's gonna be one of the bigger live productions in Oscars history. Jay, are you an I'm Just Ken fan? And the answer needs to be yes.
No. Okay, you know what? I'm
Are
gonna
you
say something.
anti-Barbie, Jay? Are you anti-Barbie?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen
I
Barbie?
haven't seen Barbie. I'm sorry.
You
I'm
need to
sorry.
log off of the Newsnet live stream right now and go watch it on like
I
Paramount
know,
or
right?
on
Like,
HBO,
dude.
wherever it is. You need to go watch it right now before Sunday. I'll just ramble here for about 30 minutes and then you go do that and then we will reconvene at 1 a.m. and continue doing this because that movie is worth everyone seeing. Barbie, oh, I love that movie.
I'll tell you what though.
Mhm.
I am when it comes to like just popular stuff in general, I
Right.
tend to always like be a little bit like shy from like that stuff because I'm like, it's popular. It's like it's a little bit. I don't know if it's really cool.
You don't want to
you
be
know?
like too mainstream or
Yeah,
whatever.
right. You know, it was funny was like I just saw Dune 2, but like
Right.
part of me was like, everyone keeps telling me to go see it.
But you have to because imagine seeing that. So you saw Dune 2. Like imagine seeing Dune 2 at your couch on the TV versus
Yeah,
going to the
right.
theater to see that. Like you're
Yeah.
kicking yourself probably, like, if you do that.
When I do
Uh,
watch it, yeah.
Dune 2 was fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Anyway, so last thing I'm
fair
looking forward to
prediction.
the
Yeah.
Oscars. And then you could tell me your Dune 2 story. So last thing I'm looking forward to, Leonardo DiCaprio. Is he going to be there? Like, is he going to show up? Because he's been campaigning pretty hard through this award season for Lily Gladstone to win Best Lead Actress. And obviously, if she wins, being the first Native American person, Native American descent to win that award specifically, or maybe is it even like first one to win an Oscar? Like I'm not 100% sure which one it is, but it's a historic win if she wins. Is he going to show up to support her and be there for her when because she's the favorite right now to win her? It's like her and Emma Stone. So I feel like it's kind of a scummy move if he doesn't show up after campaigning hard for her. And then he's like, oh, the Oscars, I'm not nominated for anything. It's beneath me. I'm not showing up. And I will call out Leonardo. I'm not afraid of Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not afraid. So I'm calling him out. He doesn't show up. It's kind of a loser move, but I hope he kind of shows up. Do you think that Leo will make an appearance, Jay?
Oh. Ooh. Leo. I think he will. I think
You
he
think
will.
he will? You don't
I
think he's gonna
mean,
pull so if you remember like Tom Cruise like last year with or
yeah.
2 years or a couple years ago with Top Gun Maverick when they
Yeah.
won like last year, he went on this whole, last year it's like went on this whole thing about his production crew and their people too. They deserve to be recognized and everything. And then doesn't show up for the award when they win. And it's like, dude, come on now. Like, what the heck?
I think no, I think from what I've seen, like just like when they do have these award shows, and from what I have seen, like Leo has always been someone who's been at these shows anyway. So I think he will show up. And plus it's the
Okay.
Oscars.
So Leo's gonna show up. He's gonna do something. Okay. So John Williams record 54th nomination for anyone living right now. That's just insane because that's just wild to think that John Williams has done so much. But when you think about all of the work that John Williams has done, it's, frankly deserved. So he's not going to win. Like we know it's not going to win. Indiana Jones 5 is not going to win an Oscar. Like John Williams' score is not going to win an Oscar. But do you hope that John Williams attends? I think he will attend.
Oh yeah,
And
he always does.
what
Yeah.
kind of maybe homage to John Williams do you think there might be
Oh,
at the show? Just like maybe is it just a quick like standing ovation, like and John Williams, thank you for all you've done? Or is there a chance they might have, a brief little video even tribute to John Williams for all the work that he's done?
there might be. You know what? What's amazing is like, I mean, do you know how old he is, by the way? Like he's in
Like
his 90s, right?
91. He's like 91, 92 years old.
Okay, okay. Um, he's also still conducting.
Dude's
And
a legend.
yeah, right. I think for me, what I would like to see the most, just a simple gesture of him, just to see him conducting again.
They just pull something out and they have a surprise, like he conducts like the
Yeah,
Indiana Jones theme. That would be so cool if he actually
yeah.
did that
I
live. That
think
would be
like
really cool.
yeah, just
Now
it
you're getting me emotional, Jay.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just imagine that, like, he doing, like, one last live performance where
All
he's,
right.
holding up the conductor's wand, and
Mm.
he's leading the orchestra, and then turns around and bows, and then that's it.
That would be beautiful. Star Tours for Disney is adding Ahsoka, Andor, and Mandalorian missions. Jay, are you a Disney goer? Like, have you been to Disney like land or world before? And if not, Jay, does the addition of the Ahsoka, Andor, and Mando Star Tours missions, is that enough to get you out of your Disney shell and come alive into the most wonderful place on earth?
No, I'm too miserable to, go to Disneyland. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, you know, so living in Hawaii, it's actually really hard to kind of like just travel out. So
Right.
unfortunately, like the only time I went to Disneyland was actually when I was 7.
Okay.
So it's been a while. It's been a long time. Um I really want to go back. I'll tell you what though. I mean, like, because it's been so long, I'm more excited to check out Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because if you've never
I haven't
been,
seen Galaxy's Edge. Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Rise of the
What about
Resistance is great.
what about you, Tyler, though? I
Well,
mean,
so I live in Orlando, Florida. So I
oh, that's
live
right. Yeah.
like, Mickey Mouse is in my backyard. Like he's staring down at me at all times. I cannot escape the mouse. Like it's everywhere. And so my biggest problem is, and this is not a problem. I just want to be clear. This is not a problem. Do not cut the soundbite out. But my girlfriend loves Disney, like absolutely loves
Oh,
Disney.
nice.
We've been Universal pass holders, like Universal Studios pass holders for the last few years. I don't think that's going to fly anymore. There have been
Oh.
rumblings from the
Oh, yeah.
underground that I am hearing of wanting to course correct and go to the Disney Pass. Now, Jay, do you know how much a universal like pass is for like a Floridian like myself?
No, how much?
It has like a 3 or 4 year like pass. It's good, like $450, and for the
Really?
year, yeah, it's not that bad for the year. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Care to wager how much the cheapest
Oh,
Florida resident pass is for Disney World?
yo, I don't know, like, probably upwards of 1,000, right?
It's like almost $900. It's like almost $900. So it's like twice. It's basically twice as expensive. Which, if you're in the chat, some people might say, well, do you love your girlfriend twice as much as you do right now? I don't know anything about Disneyland, Manslayer. He said, is Disneyland really that worthy? If I had lots of money, I would go, of course, but I have to choose. I would go to Celebration and see exclusive content and share with fans. So I do love going to Disney. It's really fun. Galaxy's Edge is really cool. They have different. Sometimes you get these just exclusive like little toys that are Disney toys that are only there, which I like checking out sometimes. And it's nice when it's in your backyard to go walk around. But $900, man, like that's just something to think about. I'm
So,
sure.
Tyler,
Yeah.
like, I actually have never been to, Universal either, actually, though.
Okay.
But who has the better food?
Oh man, it's definitely it's really difficult to say because if you go to Galaxy's Edge, and if anyone who's ever been to Disney, like you can vouch me on this, like this is 100% real. If you're at Galaxy's Edge in the morning, like the Ronto breakfast wrap, like is actually pretty fire. Like it is pretty fire. Or as this one of my girls from my 7th period would say, straight bussin', Mr. Brad. Straight bussin', which I sound old trying to say that, and I'm really not that old. So uh, actually, I would say Disney just because it's more of like your themed food.
Okay.
You kind of get it. It's not necessarily better, because I don't think any of it's that great in general. But at least when you go to Disney, it's a little bit more themed, I guess, so to speak. And that doesn't again, it doesn't equate to like better. It's just it is what it is. But it is what it is. So are you going to be purchasing the physical copies of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor season 1 along with all of the special features that belong in those physical editions? I'm on the fence. Convince me either way. What's the right approach here?
I'm not buying them.
You're
I'm
not?
sorry, guys. Like,
Is it
and
just a
look,
money thing, or is it just you have it on Disney Plus? Why would you buy the physical copy?
it's a money thing, but also like I don't even have a. Well, actually, no. I take it back. I do have a Blu-ray player. It's my PlayStation.
Yes.
It's my PlayStation 5.
Same.
But as much as I am so much for the fight for, media preservation,
Mhm.
that is such an important topic that we could even have an entire episode on it.
Right.
But yeah, there's
This
just
is
so many
difficult.
factors that like contribute to why
Mhm.
like I'd love to be part of that fight, but like I can't actually like be part of it because
Mhm.
money, space, and yeah, it's just like
Right.
um
I think what I would do. See, I think I'm gonna hold out because I'm hoping that they perhaps will drop like an Andor season 1, 2 like combo, and I can just buy both in like one sit down. But if I'm gonna buy any, it might be Andor, just because I think visually that would look
yeah,
really, really just like a wow factor when I get
yeah,
that was on like the Blu-ray
oh
HD.
yeah,
So like I
yeah.
think that's what I would probably spend my money on if I had to pick one. Um, but yeah, I get it. I 100% get it. They're not cheap. All right, last one, and then we're gonna get into Bad Batch season 3, episode 5, The Return. Okay, so there were two like figures that were announced this week. There was like two pair of figures. Okay, so you have the Grogu like life size 1x1 scale, like looks pretty cool if you've seen it. It's a new one. And then you have like Hot Toys. They have the Shin and Balin, do like Master Apprentice dual figures as well. You can only choose one. I'm giving you one for free. And then I'm telling you, you can never have the others. You can never have the others. No matter how much you want to purchase it, I will not allow you to do so. Which one are you taking home and which one are you throwing into the incinerator?
Grogu, you're gone. You're gone.
You're just dumping old Grogu
Look,
for Shin and Balin.
yeah. Well,
Explain yourself.
for one thing, you bundled Shin and Balin together, so that's two
Yes,
for
I
one.
did. I
Yeah.
did. Okay. For one.
um, but yeah, I
With
mean,
Grogu, you get twice the cuteness. So I was hoping, I was thinking that might sway you.
throw that ugly guy in the bin.
Ugly. Now you're sounding
Look.
like Nate. For those who don't know, Nate is someone in our Discord channel. He's been on a couple times. He once sat on this show, everyone, and please, he's retweets a lot of our stuff, so you can pester him on Twitter. He once said that at Nate like underscore Manningham, everyone, if we're gonna go bother him,
Wow.
he once said they should kill Nubs in live action, like on TV,
Okay.
like Ventress could kill him from behind. That's worthy of trolling him on Twitter for a little bit if he's gonna say something like that, right? That's what you just did to Grogu.
No. Hang on.
You
I
threw
don't
him in
think
the
he should be.
incinerator and called him ugly on his way out. Like, way to kick a little green guy while he's down, Jay.
No, it's not that like. You know what? I'm gonna go on my soapbox for a little bit.
All
I
right, go
liked
for
him
it.
at the start. I liked him at like seasons 1 and 2. But as time has gone on, just the way like because he's way overused.
Way overused. He's
He's
never
become
even
annoying
said a
now,
word.
and that's even
How
more
is
worse.
how overused is he? He waddles around, and every once in a while, he uses the Force.
Nah,
Like it's
nah,
all he does.
no.
How is he
I'm not.
overused?
He's way overused because Lucasfilm wants to make money off of his merchandise.
Are you saying overused in like too many toys and too many things like that? Or are you saying like overused in the Mandalorian show? Because I feel like he's been used.
Both.
He's in the same amount in the show. He just sits around and does his thing until the time is right, and then his character has evolved over
No, okay,
time.
okay. So it's a little bit of both, but I think for me, what's most annoying is everyone is just like, "Oh, look how cute he is! Oh, he's so cute," and that's
He
all he
is.
is.
He is cute. He
But
is
that's
cute and
it.
cuddly. That's not it. He
Let's move
saved
on.
Dad from Moff Gideon and his clones.
No, let's move on. And
You're
give
gonna
us
say that Grogu is overused and then just immediately be like, let's just move on. Like I'm good.
no. You were talking like okay. We were talking about Balin and Shin earlier too, right? Give us more of them.
Okay. I'm fine with that. So I'm fine with that. I think that Disney definitely has milked the Grogu. They're milking as much Grogu as they can in terms of like content sales and everything like that. That's fine. Like I get that. So I get that in. But to tell me he's overused in his own show, like with
It's not his
come
own
on.
show.
It is though.
It's
It
called The
is though.
Mandalorian.
And whose show is it though? Whose show is it really? From the first episode, we knew whose show that was. From the
No,
end of the first episode, we knew that show was no longer the Mandalorian, and it is the Grogu. Like it is the Baby Yoda. That show is
that's
100%.
just as bad as okay. That's just as bad as when I was a big DC fan, and I was a big fan of like the Flash and Arrow. In season 3 of the Flash, there's this moment where Iris West tells Barry Allen, "You are not the Flash. We are the Flash." And that was when I stopped watching that show. It's not the Flash and Iris West. It's the Flash.
I think she's talking about the Flash team. We are all the Republic, Jay. Are you now saying that that in High Republic lore that we can't even say we are all the Republic? Because we can't all be the Republic. We are all part of the Republic, but there is only one figurehead of the Republic.
And that's my point. There's only one figurehead. Where's the focus? The focus is on the leader. Trent says Tyler is right.
You have now tried to undermine Grogu. You have now tried to undermine the High Republic and Luminous. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Trent. Trent agrees. We'll go with that. That can be the final word, Trent. You are the winner, Trent. Ding, ding, ding. Fight over.
Wow. All right.
I appreciate you, Jay, always. So, this week we had a new episode of The Bad Batch. Let's get that thumbnail up there. Crosshair, it was the return, and I am excited to talk about this episode because ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, when people are streaming, when the people that are waiting to binge watch this at the end of the season, or if they're waiting for halfway through the season, I think they're going to overlook this episode. This is one of those episodes that's going to kind of like, all right, that was good. Like next, let's get to like the thicker plot storyline, with the Empire trying to get Omega back. But honestly, this episode was so impactful. It was huge. Like I really thought it was huge because
I agree.
We needed that like episode of Crosshair and Hunter, going at it. And it was very predictable. We knew they were going to fight and then the monster was going to come and they would have this conversation. They're going to team up and save each other's lives to team back up and everyone loves each other again. But Jay, do you agree with me? This one might get lost in the shuffle at the end of the season and we might overlook this one?
For sure. I mentioned this in my review. So I did review this episode for the site and it's up for those who want to check it out. But this was an episode where I know, right? Thank you, Nate, for backing me up in the chat. But I think that
Jay Blota says, good afternoon. Where are you joining from, Jay? Like, please let us know where you're joining from and where it's good afternoon, unless you're just, making fun of us because we're doing this so late. But I would love to know where we're from.
Manslayer, Jay, it's treason then. And then Nate Manning says, not that I agree with Jay.
The Disney marketing people, that's who's saying that.
They paid their checks. Yeah, they paid their checks. Don't worry, you got your checks in the mail. It's coming, guys.
Right. Okay, back to Bad Batch. What do you think this one will get overlooked, or do you think that we're gonna see more talk about this one as the season goes on?
It's good, but then the thing is, like, knowing that we have so many other big hitters like Asajj Ventress and Fennec Shand and some of the other clones. I'm also
the inevitable Boba Fett.
Yeah,
I feel like he's going to show up.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. I think even Rex is gonna make an appearance
Sure.
in one of these episodes. So I think you're right. Where I think that this might get lost in the weeds because it's not one of those episodes where like, oh, like Boba Fett shows up, or oh, like Asajj Ventress is in the episode. But this is a good emotional, impactful episode.
Hmm.
And like you said though, it is a little bit cliched. No, not cliched, but it has like those tropes that
Hmm.
we've come to know for in regards to like Star Wars animation, like you said, like the monster,
Yes.
um,
Big
and
scary monster.
yeah, and you know what's funny is
Childhood.
yeah, I was just about to mention that, which is that like I had watched Dune 2 like hours before watching that episode,
Oh,
and
really?
I'm
You saw
like,
it the same day?
I saw it on the same day, and I'm like, what in the world, like. So I guess they both wanted to get in on that
It was
worm
reverse Dune. It was reverse Dune
yeah,
because we had
yeah, exactly. So,
ice planet worm versus the sandworm of Arrakis. Very
yeah,
good.
right.
Love that.
But yeah, no, I think it's a great episode. It's a good one. It's very entertaining. Um, but I think that and like I said, I mentioned this in my review too, but I think we should get another heavy hitter in the next
Mhm.
2 episodes. Actually, next week is a 2 episode premiere.
Okay, there next week's gonna be bonkers. Then I forgot that next week was back to back episodes. So next week, Asajj is showing up right next week, right? Like back 2 episodes. What are you doing for 2 episodes? Unless you're, I feel like
Right.
it's middle of the season. It's time to. It's the middle. It's the heart of the season. 6 and 7, halfway point, but pretty much by the end of those episodes, that's when you bring in Asajj Ventress, right? In the chat, what do we think? Is Asajj showing up next week? We have back to back episodes.
I was gonna guess Fennec. Actually, I was guessing Fennec.
Okay. Do you think Finnick is big enough to like have this back to back
Yeah,
like arc? Do you think she's big enough character for that?
I think so.
You
I think
do. Okay.
some people are probably gonna say like no, like and like some gonna be some real Fennecators, but
I would
um
say no. I would say no. And I love Finnick Shand and I think Ming
yeah.
Na Wen is queen, but I don't know if she's big enough. I would love to hear your side on that. Why do you think that she's big enough to warrant even some extra?
So in one of the interviews I covered, featuring Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett, the
Okay.
producers of the Bad Batch, there was
Yes.
an interview where they said they're talking about the three female characters of Dr. Emery,
Hmm.
Asajj, and Fennec. And when they were talking about Fennec, they said that and this is what they said, but they're teasing the possibility of the squad trying like working out a deal um with Fennec to actually try and um like possibly save Omega. And that was, like
Okay.
before the season premiered, and before,
Okay.
like now that we know that
It's interesting.
Omega is like back with the squad, right? Like so like it's a bit of a misdirection, but maybe what I'm thinking is maybe Fennec is actually going to um help them find Mount Tantus. And then
That's
like
an
what
interesting point.
yeah, and then like what Manslayer is saying in the chat, I think that the assault to Mount Tantus, I think that's actually when you have Ventress show up. I think that's actually like
Okay.
when she'll appear.
Do we really think that's gonna happen like this early? Like, I just like they're gonna assault Mount Tantus this early. To me, that feels like the end game, like of the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I think it's like the end game of the show is like we're gonna gear up to go to Mount Tantus and free all the clones and do that whole thing. Maybe not. Maybe that is something early and something happens that launches the second half of the season and we go from there. That would be cool too to kind
Oh,
of
that'd be
that would
cool.
just subvert all the expectations.
Yeah.
I think that everyone has. I think that Finnick is pretty great. I haven't thought about her actually being like their ally from the get go and everything, but I mean, it could make some sense. She was hired originally to protect Omega. Like Nala Se hired her to try to keep her away from the other Kaminoans, and so I guess maybe she even just has a soft spot for Omega as well. But I don't know. Sometimes I think perhaps we romanticize the character of Fennec Shand a bit because of the version we get in the Book of Boba Fett. And let's be real clear here. Fennec Shand is not a good guy. Like Fennec Shand is a ruthless mercenary that is going to kill to stay ahead. I don't think that she is someone that is suddenly like, let me just take care of this kid. No, she wants to collect the bag, and if collecting the bag means putting Omega's head in the bag, she's probably gonna do it. Probably gonna do it. That's just kind of my general thoughts on Fennec Shand. I would love to see almost not to say like from the comics, but like a war of the bounty hunters, so to speak, on in
Ooh.
here. But just you get all these different bounty hunters together that are trying to get them. So you get, we get Bosk in here, we get Boba in here, we get Fennec,
Aura
Cad
Singh.
Bane, Aura Singh,
Yeah.
and it's like almost like a war of between them, like a race, I guess, a better words, to get to Omega first. And like we can kind of see them have to really go after like the A-listers of the bounty hunters gang. If you were doing a fantasy draft of bounty hunters right now from this era, who's the first pick that you would have? If you are hired by the Empire to go get Omega and you have, one bounty hunter as your first pick to put on your squad, who are you putting on your squad first?
Who was the hat guy from the Clone Wars?
Talking about Cad Bane?
No, not Cad Bane.
The hat guy?
He had the circular hats, and he'd actually like throw it on the ground and then like hat surf or like shield surf. It was almost like a shield.
Oh my god.
What's his name?
Shield guy.
It was almost like a shield, but it looked Embo. Thank you. Yes, Matt Slayer. Thank you so much for giving me the name.
What a callback, Jay.
He was like, you know what's funny?
That was impressive.
When I this is gonna be so nerdy, but when I first saw like Breath of the Wild and how you could shield surf in that game, it immediately called back to Embo, because there's like an episode of the Clone Wars where he surfs on his hat, like he throws it on the ground and he's like skiing down like a mountain hill. It was like sick. But Embo would be my number one pick. What about you, Tyler?
I honestly, I don't know. Like, bounty hunters have never been my thing. I probably go with Cad Bane just because Cad Bane is awesome. But then I feel like I'm stupid. Like, I feel like I'm a moron for picking Cad Bane because we saw him catch and lose Omega already in the show. So I'm like, I feel like I'm hiring someone to do a job they already failed at. And what does that make me? Like the doofus that thinks that we're gonna get different results this time? Like, you already failed. You had your chance, dude. Like, all right, maybe I just go with the Trandoshan and just get Bosk in there. And he could do his thing. Or is Black Chrysanthemum, is he around at this time? Like, is he doing his thing yet? Because I would honestly just give me like a Wookiee to come in there and take charge.
He'd be cool. He'd be definitely someone like that can also appear in the Bad Batch. Yeah, for sure.
I'd hire that. Dengar, Dirge. We need just an episode on Bounty Hunter fantasy draft.
Well, I mean, we might be getting Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
That would be
according to some rumors. That would be awesome. Absolutely.
You know who would lose their Brian, would lose his mind if we got Tales of the Bounty Hunters before Tales of the Sith. He would be so mad. Like, he would be so mad if we got Tales of the Bounty Hunters before Tales of the Sith. Real quick, just before we jump into anything else, please like and subscribe to the channel for all your Star Wars updates. We do this show every Thursday night. Brian and I are going through the entire Star Wars canon timeline, going through every single story. Just doing that. You can follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe. You can also catch our shows on Apple and Spotify, so give us like a little bit of a review there, and then usually post a few short videos here and there. Let's get back to business here, Jay. So let's talk about Crosshair and Hunter. Like, that was the crux of the episode. It was really interesting. I thought I could sense like some jealousy on Hunter's end at Omega's relationship with Crosshair. I think that Hunter is used to being like, I am the main protector for Omega. Like, she comes to me, like she walks around with me. She's trying to imitate my movements. And now throughout this episode, we kind of see Omega following Crosshair around sometimes because they have this shared experience that none of the others can really relate to her in at this time. And I'm not saying that Hunter is just like so jealous of that, but I wonder if there's like a trace of jealousy that is also working in with the guilt that he feels that Crosshair alluded to in the end. Did you pick up on any of that during the
I
episode?
Not a whole lot, but I'll tell you what. Now that you mention it, I think that's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
Um, I'll tell you what though. Crosshair definitely did push that button. He definitely did get on Hunter for not actually, saving Omega, right? He
Right.
pointed to Hunter like, "Oh, you're just upset that I saved Omega and you failed." So
Hmm.
that's definitely an interesting thought.
And I wonder what that does to Hunter because Wrecker's Wrecker. He's not going to overthink these things. He's just like, I'm glad we're all here. And then you have Echo. He's coming back and forth doing his thing whenever he can. And so Omega, if you recall, like in the first two seasons, anytime Hunter's doing something, she's almost in the background, like imitating every one of his movements. Like one of my favorite ones is for those of you watching, right now and not listening later, if you recall, like early on when they're in the prison cell in like the first opening episode of the season, and Hunter like sits down, puts his hand on his chin, he's like this, and then you see Omega like also crouch down, put her hand on his, like that's just to me, that's just what we see throughout the whole show. And here we actually have Omega going around talking with Crosshair a little bit more than she's talking with Hunter, and all she wants is her two brothers to get along, and they just won't. And Echo's like, eventually, like, you just got to let them, work it out. And so I'm curious, Jay, what did you think of the line when Crosshair was like, "You're still a kid, like you can't come with us always," and Omega's like, "I'm actually older than you, little brother," which is kind of funny because she just doesn't have the growth enhancement. So what did you think of that line? I thought that was like pretty funny, and it's just a reminder of what the clones have been forced to go through with like their enhanced age.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then I also think it was also a good reminder of just how special Omega is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we know like from just throughout all the episodes, like she is very valuable. She's
Right.
she's key to Project Necromancer. But then also when she brought that up, yeah, it's like, oh yeah. I mean, if you think about it, how many of the clones actually aren't growth enhanced that we know of, at least Boba Fett and her. So
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's also just like the reason why they're very important.
It's definitely goes in there. I'm curious to if Hunter and Crosshair had come to blows, who wins that that match? And in the chat, please let me know who wins the match, Crosshair or Omega. If it comes to blows, who's going to win the match, Hunter or Crosshair?
Are we talking up close or from a distance? Because I think like that definitely
Like
factors
like
into it, right?
when they're balling their fists up and it looks like they might engage. Who's coming away with the win there?
I say Hunter. I
You
say
think Hunter
Hunter.
comes away with the win there?
I think
Just give
Hunter.
me
Yeah.
give me your case for Hunter.
Well, Hunter is like he's the tracker. He's the
Mhm.
hunter. But this is the guy who, well, his main weapon too is also a knife. He's all
Right.
about like close quarters combat. So I'm thinking, yeah, Hunter would take that bout. But there could be a case that maybe Crosshair goes for like the more precise,
Mhm.
more
Here, here's
goes for
here's
like
the
the deadly
counter.
blow. Yeah,
Here's the counter. Crosshair, I think it's one of those things where if we're like in an octagon with like a referee, like I'm probably putting my money on Crosshair. But if we're in a back alley like street fight somewhere, I think I might actually want like Crosshair over Hunter because Crosshair might be willing to do anything. Like he might fight dirty, and I feel like Hunter would have like this like maybe even nobility to like I'm not gonna fight dirty in this sense, but Crosshair might just be like, dude, I will snap your ankle if I can, like
sure.
whatever I
Yeah.
can to win this kind of thing.
I think what I was gonna say too is I think even Crosshair, like he'd probably go for like a a neck blow, or like go
Yes.
like hit
Like
you in
before
like
the
a
boxing match, no kidney. Watch the rabbit punches, no kidney punches. And Crosshair's like, dude, I am like slamming my fist into your head. I'm punching you in the kidneys. I do not care.
yeah, like I think he would go for like the more precise, more one hit blow that's just gonna knock you out right away.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Just a couple more things before we get out of here. Another one. The giant worm, the ice worm. So a lot of times these episodes with the monsters, I think, are usually like let's these quick side missions and they serve, a small purpose and then we move on. I think we both agree that this one like serves a much bigger purpose than the typical just side mission that we get because it brings the gang back together. And it
Yeah.
feels so good to see them back together, especially with Tech's absence. It even makes that absence loom even larger. So I want to know, what did you think of the ice worm? First of all, did you have fun with the ice worm? And then afterwards, is the gang officially back together? Like, is the beef been squashed? Like, not in the sense of we're not going to have conflict in the future, but there's no longer a questioning of loyalty.
Well, as far as the big worm, I was laughing at first. Because again, I just came from Dune 2, and I'm like, what in the world is like there's another worm?
You're
um
like in your mind, you're like, and like you're gonna get like Dune
yeah,
music. You're like ready for
I
it.
can hear the Dune soundtrack in the back of my head, and then Christopher Walken is like off somewhere being like, the sandworms. No, but I think yeah, I enjoyed. I don't actually mind too much like these big monster
Mhm.
episodes, and I mentioned like I mentioned this in my review too, but we have seen a lot of like these monsters that are inspired from other iconic horror monsters like
Oh yes.
the Zilla Beast, Godzilla and Alien, um even the Vine monster from episode 2 was just like I don't know, pick any other like of the million plant like monsters that are in media, right?
I'm
So
I'm
like
with you. I love the monster
I
episodes.
do too. Yeah, they are just like these fun little getaways, or not
It can be a
distractions, I
getaway though,
suppose.
but it should be like that in Star Wars animation. Like you
Sure,
should be
yeah,
able to have a little bit more, I guess fun isn't the right word, but it kind of is. Like you just have a little bit more freedom to just go have some fun on the side
yeah.
mission and tell like a very specific storyline, do your thing, fight a big monster that you can't necessarily do in, a live action production. Like in and even in live action, there's some of the most fun episodes. Like season 2 of The Mandalorian, the season 2 premiere where they take on the Krayt Dragon on Tatooine. That might be my favorite, like, outside of the second to last episode that season, the one where, Mando takes his helmet off when they're in the Imperial base. That's probably my favorite episode in all of Mandalorian. My second one might be that premiere because it's just really fun watching them take out the Krayt Dragon and doing all of that. So I'm with you. See, Manslayer says just hang out in the Star Wars galaxy is cool for fans. So more than satisfied with this, side episode. The side episodes, I hate it when people use the word filler because to me, there's no such thing as a filler episode with all of this. Like everything serves to me. The word filler is like this negative like word that we throw around to describe an episode with like no purpose because we just don't want to use a plot episode, but they really matter like so much. And this episode serves as a purpose to get our gang to trust one another once again. And like I think this came to a head with me in season 7 of Clone Wars when Ahsoka was hanging out
Martez sisters.
with the Martez sisters and everyone on their high horse saying that these are just filler episodes and they don't matter. I'm telling you right now, like the arcs like Siege of Mandalore do not hit the same without episodes and arcs like that really serve as character defining moments, even if we don't, remember them as much, years later.
No, yeah, I agree. Sure.
And so I love this episode. My last question to you was, do you think that this is the last time we're gonna have to worry about, the gang getting along in terms of questioning loyalty? Because they're always gonna, bicker and argue. But do you think it's pretty much squashed, like the beef in terms of like whose side are you on is squashed at this point?
I'll tell you what. I think so, but I wish it wasn't. I actually wish that the tension would continue on for a little bit more.
Okay.
To me, I think that this was a good resolution to that beef and to um like the reconciliation. But I think like I actually would have liked them to have stretched that a bit more. Because
Okay.
it's an important aspect to the whole show is whether or not
That's fair.
the squad can trust one another.
Hmm.
And I think that, like that's a like I would like them to explore that even further. Is like what happens when
Maybe they'll have time to do that.
they
We'll
do,
see.
they do. Um I think that but I think if they were to if they are going to stretch that even further, that'd be even greater because we've seen the squad when they are refined, when they can trust one another, when they know one another really well. But what happens when these guys have to work together and they don't trust one another? I think
Hmm.
that's an awesome thing to actually explore. So I think that their beef is over, and I think excuse me, they've reconciled.
Okay.
But I kind of wish that we'd see more of it.
I wonder if it's a case of we might just get little hints at that throughout, and there it's not going to be like the band-aid, and everything is like suddenly the wound is gone. Like I think they kind of put some duct tape over it for now, and they've reestablished, like they've stitched it together. But you know how like if you get stitches, it's still pretty raw at first. Like you tear those stitches up, and suddenly you're worse off than you were before. I think right now they're waiting for the wound to heal just a little bit more, but it's not fully healed yet. It's not fully closed. Like it's going to take a little bit more time. And I think we'll see some of that throughout the next little bit. But I definitely am with you. Like I want that slow healing process to take place. I don't want it to just be completely done with in a single episode, because we had a whole season of Crosshair just tearing the gang apart. You know what I mean? Like, and they were really at odds, and he tried to kill them multiple times. For dramatic, Manslayer told you, true, Jay. For dramatic purposes, yes, but they were in a life and death situation, and Crosshair helped to save them. Actions speak louder than words. It's functional, but yes, I think Jay is right. They kind of were able to build that trust again going forward. So next week, 2 episode arc. Any predictions next week? You already said Fennec Shand is going to be back next week, and she's going to play the most pivotal role. Any final predictions for next week before we get out of here?
I think Fennec Shand, if not Fennec Shand, maybe one of the clones, either Rex or I think Wolf is also confirmed for this season as well. So it's gonna be one of the clones.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that with the 2 episode premiere, and after that last episode, I think that this like let's get into the next episode arc. Let's get into
Okay.
the next few major plot points.
All right. All right. Hold on a second. Anyway, so let's get into the few major plot points. What kind of, so you're thinking Wolf, maybe something like that. Phoenix Shan. So do you think she's gonna be like a hero, kind of like helper for them right away? Or are you thinking that she's gonna be kind of maybe an antagonist at first and then help them out? Because I know you're kind of on the like Phoenix gonna end up being on their side train.
Yeah, no, I think that she's gonna be a bit antagonistic at first.
Okay.
Um,
But it's not gonna be just some like also. Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, 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 whoa. The destruction of Pabu by the Empire prediction here in the chat. Okay. And then he said to be pulled, Hunter dies. They're not killing Hunter in episode like 6 or 7. There's no way. Like I'm squashing that right now. I hope he lives, but he's definitely clone candidate number 1 to die. But
yeah, it was funny too.
no
As
way they kill him this early.
who was I think there's someone else on our staff who predicted Hunter dying. Was it Val?
Val thinks that he's probably number 1. Nate thinks that Hunter's gonna sacrifice himself for
For
Crosshair,
yeah.
and that's gonna like how it's gonna go. Pabu gets destroyed by the Empire
I think
next
that's
week.
actually a
That would be
possibility.
It probably is if they
Yeah,
find them.
yeah.
That would suck. That would really be sucky.
Oh, wait. No. Hang on. Empire comes to Pabu, and I think that's when Asajj Ventress could show up. Either
Okay.
either when they storm Mount Tantus or when Pabu is gonna get destroyed.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm with you. All right. I'm not gonna make any predictions really. I think that I don't know. I feel like we could see Ventress next week. I don't know, maybe. This is 2 episodes. It just feels like something big has to happen in those 2 episodes
And
with
you're
the
right.
character appearance too.
In these mid-season
Maybe
episodes,
it's Boba next week. Maybe it's Boba.
it could be. But you're right though. Like at whenever so in both the Ahsoka and in both the Mandalorian season 2, the mid-season episode was the episode where the big name appears, whether it was Hayden Christensen for
Okay.
Ahsoka or Ahsoka for Mandalorian season 2, right?
Okay.
So you might be onto something.
Maybe so. It would be interesting if that makes its way into the animated universe. So thanks for joining us this evening. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Go ahead and follow us on Spotify or Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. This is always available in audio format. And we have another show that I'm going to plug real quick. It's called the Star Wars Newsnet Timeline Show. For those of you watching on YouTube right now, here's just a little thumbnail from this last week. We're going through the whole timeline, and it's just these short episodes where we get through every single canon story. So for those of you who are unable to read everything or listen or watch everything, Brian and I are the degenerate Star Wars fans that do that for you. And so last week we're in 382 BBY. We talk about the first 4 issues of the High Republic Adventures. And if you're just like a fan of Star Wars lore, this is like a great place for you to hang out for a little bit. Again, these are usually like, 20 to 40-minute episodes, depending on what we're talking about. And if, like I said, if you're a fan of Star Wars lore, this is the place to be, because we talk about those non-mainstream Jedi creatures stories that you don't really hear a lot, in the Twitter battles that you see online. I'll also go ahead and shamelessly plug my Defy the Storm review is live. I had a lot of fun with it. Not my favorite High Republic novel, Jay. I think I put in there that I think this will be the forgotten novel of Phase 3. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just, I think there are definitely going to be other novels that are going to be talked about. But I did say this one is going to be the one that sets the stage for the main ultimate threat, I think, that's coming for the Jedi. And they went big with that. Like, they did not hold back in this. So I was excited about that. However, I will say they focus on some characters I don't really care about at all. And I just wanted a Vernestra Rowe, Avon, like Star Wars story, and some of the other characters like Xylan Grav, Jordana Sparkburn. I just don't really care about them that much, or have ever found them particularly super interesting. And we spend a lot of time with those characters. But again, good book. It's a High Republic book. It's going to be solid. Jay, anything you want to plug real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, so for those who are watching on YouTube, you can see underneath my name, I have my own YouTube channel called Good Games Dude. This week, just today actually, I put out a review. I'm sorry, not a review, but just a short video talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm about 20 hours into the game, and I'm really loving it so far. So if you guys would like to check that out, it's my first impressions and thoughts of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with some of my own gameplay. So yeah, I'd love for you guys to go and watch that if you're interested. I'd also like to say that next week I am doing the review on the 2 episodes of the Bad Batch. So
All right.
I'll be doing that. So keep an eye out on that on our website next week. And yeah, I'll be most likely be joining the show again, Star Wars Newsnet Live every Thursday at this time. And it's always a good time with you, Tyler.
It's always a good time. You can check out StarWarsNewsNet.com for everything Star Wars. We cover everything from comics, books, movies, shows, one-shots, toys, video game news, Disney World and Disneyland stuff. We do everything. We leave no stone unturned, just like we do on here. We even talk about random stuff like, will Leonardo DiCaprio show up at the Oscars? You never know what you're going to get. Until next time, everyone, for Light and Life.